Hey, I'm here with Cole today, Acorn Forestry. We've been working with Acorn for several years, and we met them actually by working, you've all seen George on George's property in East Texas, and they were doing a great job. I said, man, I got to meet that crew. So Cole's a forester with Acorn Forestry, and he's gonna be heading up a crew. One thing I really like about Acorn, they don't just send a bunch of guys out there and give them a map. They've got a forester with them.
Yes, sir. That is very true.
Yeah, and I mean every day. And they're gonna get it done right. So we like that. We've got a really tough project for them, and I'll show you the results, right? So we're gonna see what's going on here. But go behind me, this is just one spot. We're gonna treat a couple hundred acres so here at the Proving Grounds. This was all cedars.
Right.
Felled to cedars, burned. The next rotation got rainy, we missed that rotation. This is why I always preach, stay on your fire schedule as much as you can.
Yes, sir.
When you get like this, you can't get enough fire in here to do any good, folks. You got to bring a herbicide in. They're gonna be spraying a forestry herbicide with backpacks. Got a crew walking through here, wading through here, right, Cole?
That is very true.
Maybe swimming through in a few places.
It could be.
And kill all these hardwood saplings, and then we'll come back in with fire. And we find, and we've done this in the past with you all,
Right.
if we get a good herbicide application and then get on fire, man, it can be great for 20, 30 years.
Absolutely.
So you gotta have that one herbicide application, is what I find. You agree, Cole?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, gotta have that one herbicide application to set it back, especially if it gets to this stage. And after you first cut pine, cedars, whatever,
Right.
there's just not enough fuel to burn it hot enough to control these hardwood saplings.
No, that's absolutely true. And especially once you implement the herbicide application, you're going to create dry fuels that'll help with the control burn. And this stuff at this time is just very, very green. Even on the hottest, lowest humidity day, it's just not going to burn too well, too effective.
And even if you do a dormant season or a winter burn,
Right.
you just don't get a good kill.
No, sir.
Because it's been shading out, and you think, look, all those leaves, but there's not that much fuel under there.
Right.
So you won't be able to kill it. Your top kill it maybe, and it just sprouts back 50 times.
Absolutely.
So real excited to work with Cole here. And again, we've had a great relationship with Acorn for a couple of years now. They've worked here before, worked on several of our clients. Cole, I know y'all went to Georgia, and I don't know where all of you have been for us, but you've been a lot of places. I say for us, helping people we developed a plan for, and we said, hey, if you're gonna do some work, you might call these guys. So they've been great, and our clients have been happy with them.
Yes, sir.
Cole, what do you see in here that you think might be the biggest problem for your crew?
Definitely the buckthorn and the sumac. I mean, it's definitely taken over the site. But our guys, they're really good at getting through this type of stuff. They deal with it all the time when we do our herbaceous weed control sprayings and site prep sprayings for pine plantations down in East Texas. So this is very normal for them. It looks real thick. It wouldn't be the funnest thing to walk through, but they're gonna get it done.
And you're wade in there and check on them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Cole's not the guy. I've had crews where the foreman, the forester, whatever, he's in a truck playing, games on the phone all day. You're not that guy, right, Cole?
No, sir. We're very hands-on.
Yeah, and we're gonna be watching. Daniel and I are gonna be out here filming, watching, and we're gonna keep you posted on this. And what I'm most excited to show you is this right now, unhuntable, no habitat. People think that's bedding cover. It's actually shaded out too thick. We want grasses and forbs waist tall.
Right.
So we're gonna do this. We're gonna show it dying. Hopefully we'll show you burning this winter, okay? And then we're gonna have deer hunts in here. I think deer will even use it more this fall. Before it just got that bad, there's a redneck blind right behind us there.
Right.
And I harvested down there X 100 yards, and I'm teasing, about as far as you can see down there. A very mature buck, I think it was 6 years old if I remember correctly.
Good deal.
But now we're losing that because of habitat.
Right.
And I explain to people all the time, critters or ticks, whatever, are just a function of habitat. And speaking of ticks, this is perfect tick habitat.
Absolutely.
Shaded, stays moist down there.
Yes, sir.
After Cole and his crew terminate this, and then we put a fire in here, it's gonna be much lower quality tick habitat, fewer ticks per acre. And we like that. I don't know anyone that doesn't like that. It looks thick out there, but if I do this and push it back, there's almost nothing in here, just leaves. And folks, unless they're starving, this is a red bud, and we got some fragrant sumac stuff in here. A deer, I mean, their number one goal every day is survival. They're not sticking their head down. They don't have these arms like this. They're not sticking their head down there to find a bite of something. So this is a wasteland, and quickly, and again, we can't control this with fire. It's gotten past us. And it's almost impossible, as Cole and I were talking, if you just do a cut, a pine cut, a cedar cut, whatever, there's not enough fuel right then to get a fire in there hot enough that's gonna set this back. So you almost always, what we find is you need one herbicide application. You're good if you keep your management up, keep your fires going for the life of the stand. So here we got, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 species of hardwood saplings and not much else. And it's obviously the same seed bank, same soil. And right here, just, 2 feet, I have a variety of species, some really high quality forbs. People don't realize that ragweed's a good forb. This ragweed, I just have to pick it up, see this ragweed's actually been browsed off right there. The top, the best part's been bitten off. And I've got native grasses, I've got pollinator species, all within a couple of feet. And that seed bank's there. This power line wren is an artificial thing. That seed bank went all through here, and we're gonna free this up so we can have this type of habitat in there. Literally for decades, we've been a habitat management firm, and what we do is not just make better habitat, get sun to the ground, burning, that's pretty easy stuff. It's designing it in a way that meets your objectives. So here, a couple years ago, we put a redneck blind up there. It's on the high spot. The wind's gonna be more stable. If we're down there in the bottom, it's going to be swirling, but for hunting with our Winchesters, we can cover this entire utility easement down through there. But what we really like to do is not just put a blind up high, we wanna put it exactly where we want it. So right here, we had an area that was super thick in cedars. We had a crew fell all those cedars. We burned it, but we just couldn't get it hot enough to keep the hardwood saplings from taking over. What was a great bedding area and served as a feeding and bedding area and provided great hunting from our blind is now a wasteland. And we're gonna have to come in and take corrective actions to reset the clock and return this to really high quality habitat. We're gonna do it once, follow up every few years with fire, and this will be great hunting as long as Daniel and I can go hunting. Cole, I don't know what other landowners do, but we don't just say, hey, go to the back 40 and work on this. We actually map it out. I bet you map it out for a lot of clients, don't you?
Yes, sir, we do.
Ahead of time here, we walk it. I actually walked this with my phone, mapped it out, and let them know how many acres we're treating so they know the appropriate amount of herbicide. I'm sure you brought extra.
Correct.
And estimate their time, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to get ahead of the game, you can just take whatever mapping software you use, because you all can work with all of them, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Walk the edges, map it out. My maps, if you look at Cole's phone, they're not straight, right? Because there's some areas just didn't need treatment. I'm not paying to treat that if they don't need it, and you guys are fine with that, right?
Yes, sir.
I've got plenty of acres. They're not driving up here for nothing. So I just map out all these acres I want to treat, let them know exactly so they can hit the ground running. Cole, I'm throwing you a little bit of a curveball here because we've got a ton of species in here. Hickory, coarse, winged elm, those are relatively easy. Fragrant sumac, red bud, which is a legume.
Yes, sir.
Usually takes a different herbicide to terminate a red bud versus, like an elm or something like that, so in some cases. So we got all these different species. Tell us what you're gonna use to control this for us.
Right, so we're using a mixture of glyphosate and escort. Glyphosate targets a broad spectrum of things. Escort's really good on woody vegetation. As he mentioned before, some of the fragrant sumac, some of the buckthorn, but we do want to leave some of those mature oaks, very good wildlife trees. So we will try to stay away from spraying against those, increase the ground productivity, but take away all the stuff that's going to choke out the sunlight and reduce any of the growth in the understory.
And those products are not ground active, so it's not like a Mazapir, which is a great product. Right. I love it, but it's not appropriate for these hardwood stands because it can get in the soil and remain ground active for a while, get in the roots and terminate a tree a couple years later.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, absolutely. I mean, with Arsenal, as Grant was saying, with the soil activity, if you were to spray that around larger oaks that you want to, remain, could kill them. But this way, we're using a foliar active herbicide, therefore it gets on some of this green leaf material, stuff like that, gets into the plant, has an effective kill.
And how long is it going to take for us to kind of see results?
Very climate dependent. If you get a lot of hot summer heat days, you'll see it a lot quicker. But if it were to be a lot of overcast weather, it may take a little longer. But typically you'll see some yellowing within the first week, especially within the first 2 weeks.
And we'll keep track of that for you. And this was one of my nemesis. This is buckthorn, of course. And my gosh, this thing, if you just look right here, and I'm not counting them, but there's several dozen seeds right here. It tends to make a very viable seed, which is important what you're talking about. The herbicides you're using by my request are not ground active. Right. And that's why the landowner, me in this case, has to be responsible. They're gonna come through and terminate this, and I've got to stay on a good burn rotation or I'll be right back in it. Correct. Our plan right now is they're gonna spray this and we're gonna do a follow-up dormant season burn. Might try to do a growing season burn in this one area where there's hardly any big trees we care about saving. all these seeds are gonna hit the ground. Those are actually, you know, first year saplings, something like this, easy to kill. That's gonna get enough heat that will girdle that, and it doesn't have a big enough root structure to survive.
Right.
We get in trouble, but Co's gonna take care of this, is all the stump sprouts. It's got a 20, 30, 40-year-old root system. You almost can't get a fire hot enough. You may top kill it, but you're not gonna set those roots back. That's why we have to use a herbicide at this stage. So we're gonna come in, Co and his crew done a great job killing everything up here. We're gonna follow up with fire, and I can't wait to share this with you as time goes on. It's been 6 days, and I'm amazed that we're already seeing color turn in these trees. Now you may see that in your yard, you spray some grass or something with glyphosate and it browns up pretty quick, but you know, these trees, even these shrubs, weigh way more than a little piece of grass. And it takes a while for that herbicide to translocate, get into the roots, but I'm thrilled we're seeing this much color change already in 6 days. I can't wait to see what it looks like in 3 weeks, and I certainly can't wait to watch deer go through here this fall. I've shared in the past, I really don't like using herbicide, but herbicide's a tool like a chainsaw or something else. Use the right tool to get the job done. In this case, we're gonna be using fire from here on out to keep this in high quality wildlife habitat. More important than choosing the right tool for the job in improving wildlife habitat is making sure we choose the right path for our life. The only way to do that is have a personal relationship with our Creator, seek His will, and apply it daily. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.